In this video, there's only two things that I can really point out that's new. So I will get back to you shortly, people. I'll just lay some music until we get within the site itself. It is an area, a site that I've never ever known about, looked at before. Because at the end of the day, laid blocks do exist, even if they're made out of geopolymer, which obviously this stuff is. That's some of the stuff I will point at. You can see it breaking down into like a soft, soft sand almost. It's not cut, but it is one of those sites that's very difficult to even work out because the megalithic community would point out such areas like this where it's all higgledy-piggledy and looks like it's been built by a later civilization, which they would call the Peruvians or whatever, the Inca. Yeah. Uh, but in fact, it's archaeologists that have come and built. I don't know how much. It's same as any other site, isn't it? 80% of the site that we see, they come and they dig it up and then they lay it, right? So it's hard to work out without actually looking into it. It's not the sort of work that I do with, digging out their narrative, because most of it's garbage and it can be changed over time. I just like looking at the sites themselves. Okay, we'll look at the blocks, but it's the building on top that really I will point out. So there's two things I want to point out before the end of the video. These Peruvian type houses where you get these niches, they call them, yeah? These oblong type, slightly wider at the bottom, these niches that don't go anywhere. They're not windows. Now, your people in your mainstream, well, your megalithic community, I've seen ideas from people like Brian Forrester, people as high as that, put out ideas like they were able to place their heads in here and able to heal themselves somehow. And other far out ideas without any evidence whatsoever. It sounds good, but I'm not just going there for no reason. So when I look at something like this, what it looks like to me is that this is where they were holding the roof up, the beams that go into the angled roof. So you would put the main beams within these niches and it would hold the roof in place rather than just hanging it over the side. It's just the way that they did it. It just seems to make sense to me. It can also be the higher floors, but they never seem to dig down too far, or maybe they have dug down to the actual foundations. If they have dug down to the foundations, then these things are holding the roof up, or they are just for the floorboards, the higher floorboards, your main beams, and then you lay floorboards onto it. And just before somebody jumps on these holes here thinking that these are test holes, where they've been testing the drill bits out. These are not drill holes. This is, to me, what they must have been making the geopolymer blocks out of. What they were smearing it into, making the blocks out of, pouring it down the wall, just sticking a piece of wood in here and there, mixing it round in something in a pit. But these smaller pieces of geopolymer are just where they've been sticking logs in. It will have been like for a log cabin. Every house will have been built like a palace. These are just to stop the posts digging through the earth.